If you want to learn how to stop smoking cigarettes in a new car, I think I can help. Hi, my name is Bill. I'm an ex-smoker. I quit smoking about 15 years ago. I remember what it was like the first time we bought a brand new car. It was actually in the late 80s, and what it's like, one of the best things about having a new car, other than the fact that you have a new car, is every time you open the door for probably that first year or so. And what you really don't want is you really don't want to open the door in the morning, and we've all done this as smokers, you know, if you use your ashtray and ashtray. As a smoker, it bothered me a bit, but not enough to not be a smoker. As like, for example, my wife, who was never a smoker, my children who were never smokers, it must have just been downright disgusting. So in buying a new car, what I try to do is never use the ashtrays. When I smoked, especially if I was the passenger, I would try to hold the cigarette. I'd minimize, I will say that, I would minimize the amount of smoking that I would do. But if we had to go somewhere that was past my comfort zone of possibly, you know, like having a cigarette outside a restaurant, then driving home and having a cigarette when I got home, if I did have to smoke in the car, I would hold the cigarette outside the window. I would come close to the window and take up drag, and I would blow it back out outside as best I could. And I'm sure in this process, I'm sure in hindsight, the smoke came back in for my family. I'm sure that the ashes blew back in. I'm sure that the sparks blew back in, and I probably just looked like an idiot. So I don't like looking like an idiot. I don't think any of us do. But at some point in the future, you know, this becomes a real problem, and the last thing you really want to do is take that new car and give it that smoker, you know, feel to it. I've seen in buying used cars where people will advertise that it was owned by a non-smoker. I didn't realize it, and years after I quit smoking, I did buy a couple of used cars, because generally in my family, when we bought a new one, my wife would get the new one, and I'd get the used one, or we'd pass it to one of my kids, and I would get another used vehicle, and on like that. And I did smoke in my vehicles, especially it was mainly just me going to and from work, and let me just tell you, they do not smell good. And even after you stop smoking, it can take years and probably needs professional remediation to get that smell out of the carpet, out of the seats, out of the headliner. Even the vinyl, it is in the car, and it's not a pretty smell. I'm sure that especially these days, as more people are ex or non-smokers than smokers, I'm sure that definitely depreciates the car's value if it's been smoked in over time. So my suggestion would be that if you want to buy a new car soon, or even just these days with the price of used cars being tens of thousands of dollars, I mean, you're paying for something for 6-7 years or more, and huge amounts of money. You want to take care of it. You know, I would think ahead. I would try to become an ex-smoker before you make that purchase. If this sounds like something you might want to consider, I think I can help. Some years ago, as I said, about 15 years ago when I quit, I documented everything I did to get ready to quit. I wrote everything down when I quit. I wrote down how I felt. I wrote down everything I did and after how I felt. And now that I'm nearing retirement, I decided to take all that information and put it together in a program and make it available for others to help them become ex-smokers. Now I think it's reasonably priced. It will cost you less than the price of a carton of cigarettes in many areas of the country. Not all, but certainly in many areas. And I think that it will work for you. I know it worked for me. Literally, I bet my life on it. And as I say, that was almost 15 years ago. I never looked back. I did it as easily and as quickly as I could. I did not agonize over it. I did not look back and say, what did I do? I had no regrets. And I did mention to all my family and friends that if I had known it was that easy to quit, I never would have smoked for decades. So if this is something that sounds good to you and you want to learn a little bit more about, I ask you to please click the link below this video and I hope to see you as an ex-smoker. Thank you.